Have you ever wondered why some people are treated as a luxury while others are seen as mere options? In the next few minutes, you'll discover the 9 psychological keys that will forever transform how others perceive you. Imagine waking up tomorrow feeling such inner power that no one can ignore you or take you for granted. That transformation is possible, and today you'll learn exactly how to achieve it. To become someone others deeply value, you must first understand something fundamental. Your personal power begins when you stop automatically reacting to everything happening around you. Louise Hay always reminded us that our thoughts create our reality, and when you react impulsively, you surrender your power to external circumstances. Think about it. How many times have you reacted immediately when someone criticized you or when something didn't go as expected? Every time you jump to defend yourself, every time you emotionally explode, you're showing how much power others have over you. People who are seen as a luxury have learned to pause before reacting. There's a simple yet powerful exercise you can practice starting today. The next time you feel yourself about to react impulsively, stop, breathe deeply, and count to 5. In that brief space, ask yourself, does this situation really deserve my energy? Notice how your body feels in that moment, the tension, the discomfort. Become aware of it. Over time, this pause will become natural and allow you to consciously choose your responses instead of reacting instinctively. And when you master this skill, something magical happens. People begin to perceive your energy differently. You're no longer someone easily destabilized. You're someone with your own center of gravity. Does that feeling of losing control when something affects you sound familiar? We've all been there. But remember, every time you choose calm over reaction, you're reclaiming your power. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content that will transform your life. And that brings us to our next point, because beyond controlling your reactions, there's an even greater power in learning to let go of what doesn't belong to you. Attachment is one of the greatest weaknesses we can have. We cling to people, situations, expectations, believing that if we let them go, we'll lose something valuable. Louise Hay said, "The point of power is always in the present moment." This means that when you cling to the past or agonize over the future, you lose your power in the now. People who are seen as a luxury have mastered the art of gracefully letting go. Ask yourself, how many times have you stayed in a relationship that no longer nourished you, just for fear of being alone? How many times have you insisted on situations where you weren't valued, hoping something would magically change? Here's a truth you need to engrave in your mind. Nothing you have to beg to stay is really worth it. Nothing you have to force is truly yours. When you desperately cling to something or someone, you send a clear message to the universe and to others. I don't believe I deserve more than this. People who are treated as a luxury understand that letting go isn't losing, it's creating space for what you truly deserve. To practice the art of letting go, try this exercise. Think of something or someone you find hard to release today. Now close your eyes and imagine what your life would be like without that burden. Visualize the freedom, the lightness, the peace you would feel. Repeat this affirmation. I trust that what is meant for me will come effortlessly, and I will keep only what honors and values me. Remember, when you learn to let go without fear, your energy changes. You no longer live from scarcity and fear, but from abundance and confidence. And that energy is magnetic. It attracts the right people and opportunities into your life. Have you ever felt trapped in the cycle of chasing others' approval? It's exhausting, isn't it? But there's a better way, and that's exactly where we're heading now. And that brings us to our next point, because beyond letting go, there's immense power in learning to stay silent and cultivate mystery. In a world where everyone wants to be seen, heard, and validated constantly, those who know how to maintain silence have an incomparable advantage. Louise Hay taught us that what we express attracts what we experience. When you talk too much, when you tell everything, when you constantly try to justify yourself, You're dispersing your energy and reducing your perceived value. People who are treated as a luxury understand the power of silence. They don't reveal too much, don't react impulsively, don't give unnecessary explanations. They've become a mystery that others can't easily decipher, and what can't be deciphered intrigues. Think about those people you know who seem to have an aura of mystery. They're not on social media sharing every detail of their lives. They don't immediately tell you all their secrets when you meet them. They don't justify themselves when making decisions. And for some reason, they're the people who awaken the most curiosity and interest in others. Most people have no control over what they say. They talk too much, overexplain, try to justify themselves. And every unnecessary word they say is a piece of information others can use to categorize, judge, or manipulate them. Here's an exercise I invite you to practice this week. Respond with fewer words than you normally would. Be clear, concise, and direct. Don't explain more than necessary. Observe how others react when you don't give them all the information they expect. Use strategic pauses in your conversations. Before responding, take a breath. Maintain control. When you control your information and don't reveal everything immediately, people start to see you differently. Some will feel uncomfortable because they can't easily read you. Others will admire you because you project a confidence few have, and many will be intrigued to discover more about you. Have you noticed how the most fascinating people rarely talk the most? There's power in reserve, in the ability to observe more and speak less. If you're enjoying these tips, don't forget to share this video with someone who might benefit from it and activate the notification bell so you don't miss anything. And that brings us to our next point, because beyond silence, there's transformative power in learning to prioritize yourself above everything and everyone. Most people live putting others first, doing everything to please, to fit in, to be accepted, and this is precisely the error that makes them weak. Louise Hay constantly reminded us that self-love is the greatest gift we can give ourselves. When you put yourself last, you give someone else control over your life and decisions. People who are treated as a luxury understand that prioritizing themselves isn't selfishness, it's necessity. The problem is that from a young age, we've been taught to feel guilty for thinking about ourselves. We've been told that being selfish is wrong, that we must give, that we must sacrifice. But there's a big difference between being selfish and having self-love. Selfishness is demanding without giving. Self-love is giving, but without allowing yourself to be drained or mistreated. Here's the key. When you start prioritizing yourself, people perceive you differently. You stop being an easy option. You stop being someone they can use when convenient. You become someone with standards, and people respect those with high standards. Think about this. If you're always available to everyone, no one will truly value you. If you always say yes to everything asked of you, they'll assume you have no life of your own or priorities. If you don't respect yourself, how can you expect others to do so? To start prioritizing yourself without guilt, learn to say no without explanations. You don't have to justify why you don't want to do something. A simple no thank you is enough. Stop giving without reciprocity. If you notice, it's always you who gives, who makes the effort, who puts in all the work. Stop and observe who's really there for you in the same way. I propose an experiment. For 1 week, say no to something you really don't want to do without feeling guilty. Observe how people react when you stop being always available. Take time just for yourself without external interruptions. Reflect. How many times a day do you act out of obligation rather than genuine desire? You'll see something surprising happens. Those who truly value you will respect your new boundaries, and those who only wanted you for convenience will drift away. And that's exactly what you want, because your energy is too valuable to waste on those who don't appreciate it. Have you ever found yourself exhausted from being always available to others while your own needs take a back seat? It's time to change that dynamic. And that brings us to our next point, because beyond prioritizing yourself, there's immense power in cultivating a presence that makes it impossible for you to be ignored. People who are treated as a luxury have developed a presence that's felt as soon as they enter a room. Louise Hay taught us that the way you present yourself to the world creates your reality. It's not just about how you look physically, but about the energy you project, how you move, how you express yourself. Unattainable people, those treated as a luxury, have developed a presence that's impossible to ignore. Think of someone you know who has this quality. They don't need to speak loudly to be heard. They don't need to make grand gestures to be noticed. They simply are, and their presence fills the space. That person has understood something fundamental. True presence comes from the inside out, not the other way around. To cultivate this magnetic presence, you must first work on your interior. Start by recognizing your own value. Repeat each morning in front of the mirror. I am valuable. I deserve respect. My presence matters. It may feel strange at first, but the words you tell yourself have immense power. Work on your physical posture. The way you move says a lot about how you perceive yourself. Keep your back straight, shoulders relaxed, eyes forward. Walk as if the ground has the privilege of holding you, not the other way around. Practice speaking with clarity and purpose. Don't rush, don't mumble. Don't end your sentences with a questioning tone as if asking permission to express your ideas. Speak with the certainty that what you say has value. Learn to occupy your space without apologizing for it. Many women have been conditioned to make ourselves small, to not inconvenience, to not stand out. Remember that you have as much right as anyone else to be where you are. And perhaps most importantly, cultivate an inner peace that's unshakable. People with powerful presence don't let themselves be easily destabilized. They've developed such a strong emotional center of gravity that external circumstances rarely disturb them. When you achieve this level of presence, the world begins to treat you differently. People listen when you speak. They respect you even when they disagree with you. Your opinion is valued and sought after. And all this happens not because you've demanded to be treated this way, but because your energy clearly communicates that you won't accept less. Have you ever been in the presence of someone like this and felt their impact? It's powerful, isn't it? And the wonderful thing is that you too can develop that quality. And that brings us to our next point, because beyond presence, there's transformative power in true authenticity. In a world full of imitations, originality is invaluable. People who are treated as a luxury understand that they don't need to pretend to be someone else to be valued. Louise Hay taught us that we are perfect, complete, and beautiful exactly as we are. Authenticity is attractive because it's rare. Most people live trying to fit in, to be like others, to follow trends. But those who have the courage to be authentically who they are shine with a light that's impossible to ignore. Being authentic means embracing your peculiarities, your quirks, those things that make you different. It means not apologizing for your tastes, your opinions, your way of being, as long as you don't harm others, of course. It means having the courage to show yourself as you are, even when you fear not being accepted for it. Think about the people you admire most. They're probably not those who follow all trends and try to please everyone, but those who have the courage to be different, to go against the current when necessary, to stand up for what they believe even when it's not popular. To cultivate your authenticity, start by recognizing your core values. What really matters to you? What principles are you unwilling to compromise regardless of the circumstances? Having clarity about this will give you a solid foundation from which to operate. Practice expressing your true opinions even when they differ from the majority. You don't have to be combative or unpleasant, just honest. I understand your point of view, but I see it differently can be enough. Stop apologizing for being who you are. Notice how many times a day you say I'm sorry for things that don't require an apology. Reserve apologies for when you've truly made a mistake, not for when you're simply occupying your space. And perhaps most importantly, be consistent. Authenticity isn't something you practice only when it's convenient. It's a way of being, a commitment to yourself to live according to your values, no matter who's watching. When you're authentically you, you attract the right people into your life. Those who value you exactly as you are, not as they think you should be. And those are the only relationships truly worth having. If you're enjoying these tips and feel they're resonating with you, make sure to like this video and share it with someone who might benefit from it. Your support helps me continue creating content that transforms lives. And that brings us to our next point, because beyond authenticity, there's immense power in establishing unbreakable standards for what you accept in your life. People who are treated as a luxury don't allow just anyone into their inner circle. Louise Hay said, "What you accept is what continues." When you establish clear standards about how you want to be treated, the world responds accordingly. People who are seen as a luxury understand that not all relationships, opportunities, or situations deserve a place in their life. Having high standards doesn't mean being unreachable or arrogant. It means having clarity about your value and not accepting less than you deserve. It means saying no to the mediocre so you can say yes to the exceptional. Think about the areas of your life where perhaps you've been settling for less than you deserve. Relationships where you don't feel valued. One-sided friendships where you're always the one giving. A job where your talents aren't recognized. It's time to raise your standards. Start by making an inventory of what you're no longer willing to tolerate. It might be disrespect, inconsistent communication, broken promises, or anything that drains your energy and undermines your value. Write it down, make it concrete. Then clearly define what you do want. What does a healthy relationship look like to you? A nourishing friendship? A satisfying job? Having clarity about this will help you recognize the good when it comes into your life. Communicate your boundaries clearly but without aggression. You don't have to make a formal announcement. Your actions will speak for you. When someone crosses a line, calmly but firmly make it known that this behavior isn't acceptable to you. And perhaps most importantly, stay firm. Establishing standards is useless if you abandon them at the first test. Remember that how you allow yourself to be treated teaches the world how to treat you. Every time you accept less than you deserve, you're saying, "This is what I'm worth." When you raise your standards, something magical happens. Mediocre people drift away and extraordinary ones draw closer. Your circle may become smaller, but it will be infinitely more valuable. And you'll learn that it's better to be alone than poorly accompanied. Have you ever experienced how the dynamics of a relationship change when you establish a clear boundary? It's powerful, isn't it? And it's just the beginning. And that brings us to our next point, because beyond high standards, there's transformative power in cultivating a full and independent life. People who are treated as a luxury never depend on others for their happiness or sense of purpose. Louise Hay taught us that fulfillment doesn't come from another person, it comes from within. When you build a life that you're passionate about, that fills you, that makes you feel complete by yourself, you become magnetic. You no longer seek someone else to complete you, because you're already complete. People who are treated as a luxury understand that emotional and financial independence is the foundation of all healthy relationships. They're not with others out of necessity, but by choice. And that's a position of immense power. Think about what your life would be like if you didn't depend on anyone else for your happiness, your economic security, your sense of self-esteem. How would your relationships change? What different decisions would you make? What would you no longer tolerate? To cultivate this independence, start by investing in yourself. Develop your talents, educate yourself, improve your skills. The best investment you can make is in your own growth. Create your own financial security. No matter your current situation, take steps, however small, toward economic independence. Learn about finances, save, invest, look for ways to increase your income. Money isn't everything, but it gives you options. Cultivate your own interests that you're passionate about. Don't live through others or only for others. Have your own hobbies, goals, dreams, things that make you jump out of bed each morning with enthusiasm. Passion is irresistibly attractive. Develop your own philosophy of life. Don't blindly adopt the beliefs of your family, your culture, or your social circle. Question, explore, form your own conclusions about what it means to live a good life on your own terms. And perhaps most importantly, learn to enjoy your own company. The fear of loneliness is what keeps many people in relationships that don't serve them. When you feel comfortable with yourself, you no longer make decisions based on the fear of being alone. When you achieve this independence, your energy changes. You no longer approach others from need or lack, but from abundance. You're not looking for someone to save or complete you, but to share your journey. And that way of relating is immensely powerful. Have you noticed how the most attractive and magnetic people tend to be those who have full and interesting lives by themselves? That's not a coincidence. And that brings us to our next point, because beyond independence, there's immense power in learning to shine without apologizing for it. People who are treated as a luxury understand that they don't have to diminish their light to make others comfortable. Louise Hay said, "You don't have to earn the right to exist. You don't have to earn the right to be who you are." Many of us have been conditioned to make ourselves small, to not stand out too much, to not eclipse others. We've been taught that being modest means downplaying our achievements, talents, and beauty. People who are treated as a luxury have broken with that programming. They understand that shining your own light doesn't take anything away from anyone else. In fact, when you shine, you give permission to others to do the same. Think about the areas of your life where perhaps you've been containing your brilliance. Where have you been making yourself small to avoid discomfort? Where have you minimized your achievements to not seem boastful? Where have you silenced your voice to not seem too dominant? To reclaim your right to shine, start by recognizing your own achievements and talents. Make a list of all the things you're good at, everything you've accomplished, however small it may seem. Celebrate those victories. Don't minimize them. Practice receiving compliments with grace. Instead of dismissing a compliment with, "It's nothing," or "Anyone could do it," learn to simply say thank you. Allowing others to recognize your value doesn't make you arrogant. Share your ideas, your opinions, your perspectives without apologizing for them. Your voice deserves to be heard as much as anyone else's. You don't need to be aggressive, but you don't have to be timid about what you think either. Dress, groom yourself, and present yourself in a way that makes you feel powerful and beautiful. Not to please others, but to honor yourself. Your appearance is a form of personal expression. Don't waste it trying to be invisible. And perhaps most importantly, understand that your success doesn't threaten anyone worth having in your life. People secure in themselves rejoice in your achievements. They don't feel intimidated by them. If someone tries to dim your light, the problem is theirs, not yours. When you learn to shine without apologizing, you attract people who celebrate your light instead of fearing it. And those are the only people who deserve a place in your life. Have you ever felt that liberation that comes from expressing yourself fully without fear of judgment? It's like taking a weight off your shoulders, isn't it? And it's just the beginning of your transformation. And that brings us to our final point, because beyond shining without apologies, there's supreme power in understanding that you are the one who chooses. People who are treated as a luxury have understood that they are the architects of their reality. Louise Hay taught us one of the most powerful truths. The point of power is always in the present moment. This means that, no matter what has happened in your past, you always have the power to choose now. You can choose your thoughts, your words, your actions, and with them, create a new reality. People who are treated as a luxury don't see themselves as victims of circumstances, but as creators of their experience. They understand that they have the power to choose who enters their life, what behaviors they accept, what opportunities they pursue, and how they respond to what happens to them. Think about the areas of your life where perhaps you've felt without options, trapped, powerless. Now consider, what if that weren't true? What if you had more power than you believe to change that situation? To reclaim your power of choice, start by taking responsibility for your current life. This doesn't mean blaming yourself for the things that have happened to you, but recognizing that from now on, you choose how to respond to them. You're responsible for your happiness, your success, your well-being. Practice the art of conscious decision. Before each action, ask yourself, am I choosing this consciously, or am I reacting out of habit? Many of our choices aren't really choices, but automatic habits we can change. Remember that not choosing is also a choice. When you avoid making decisions, when you postpone the inevitable, when you allow circumstances to decide for you, you're still responsible for that outcome. And perhaps most importantly, understand that your power of choice is inviolable. No one can take it from you. Even in the most difficult circumstances, you always retain the power to choose your attitude, your perspective, your inner response. When you fully incorporate this truth, your energy changes radically. You're no longer a victim, but a creator. You're no longer a leaf carried by the wind, but the wind itself. And that energy is immensely powerful and attractive. Think about the most admirable people you know. Aren't they those who, even in the face of adversity, maintain their power of choice? Those who don't blame circumstances but transform them. The most fascinating thing about these 9 psychological keys is that they're all interconnected, and they all begin with a decision. The decision to value yourself enough to not accept less than you deserve. Because being seen as a luxury has nothing to do with material wealth, physical beauty, or social status. It has everything to do with how you perceive yourself, and consequently, how the world perceives you. The transformation begins when you stop reacting impulsively and learn to protect your energy. It strengthens when you let go of what doesn't belong to you and cultivate the art of silence. It amplifies when you prioritize yourself and develop a powerful presence. And it reaches its peak when you live authentically, establish high standards, cultivate a full life, shine without apologies, and understand that you are the one who chooses. This isn't an easy path. It requires courage, constant practice, the willingness to feel uncomfortable as you grow. But the results are incomparable. When you incorporate these keys into your life, the world begins to treat you differently because you treat yourself differently. People who previously took you for granted now value you. Relationships that previously drained you now nourish you. Opportunities that previously seemed unattainable now present themselves as real possibilities. Everything changes because you have changed. And now I invite you to make a commitment to yourself. Write below in the comments, I choose to be a luxury, not an option. My value is non-negotiable and my energy is sacred. Declare it not just for the world to see, but for you to reaffirm it to yourself. If this video has impacted you, make sure to like it, share it with the important women in your life, and activate the notification bell so you never miss content that can transform your reality. Remember, being treated as a luxury isn't something others decide, it's something you manifest through your way of being. It's not arrogance, it's self-love. It's not coldness, it's discernment. It's not inaccessibility, it's elevated standards. And that path begins with a decision that only you can make. The next time you find yourself allowing less than you deserve, the next time you feel the temptation to react impulsively, the next time you doubt your value, remember these 9 keys. Remember that you are valuable, that you deserve respect, that your energy is sacred. And from that place, everything will change. Because when you change your perception of yourself, the world has no choice but to change with you. You are a luxury. Act like it.